polyurea, also I want to point out. When you put it on your floor, has anyone here ever done a one-day floor using polyaspartics throughout the whole thing? No? Okay, good. Well, if you did, you'll find that first application of polyaspartic, you've got to work really fast because it loses its tackiness really quick. So it gives you a very short amount of time to throw your flake into. This has been formulated so it gives you up to 45 minutes. Of course, depends on temperature, and a couple other things, but up to 45 minutes from the time you mix it from now, okay? Whereas the polyaspartic is much shorter. Okay? But if you do what I said, as soon as you mix it, you're gonna pour it out, start spreading it out, it gives you more time to work with it.
Did you mention that it bonds mechanically and chemically to concrete too?
Yes. Yeah, and that's a really big thing because, like I mentioned, with how they bond versus a light shot blast on ground, if we put epoxies down on a ground surface and the polyurea to a ground surface, the epoxy, if you did a pull test, is going to fail first. The polyurea, of course, is at that point, if you did a pull test, it's going to cause concrete failure every time. Let's do all these real quick. Go all the way down the line. Making sure your surface is clean and dust-free is very important, regardless if you shop blast or grind the floor. More so though if you grind the floor. I'll explain those processes a little bit more when we start talking about our prep methods. If you keep going over the same spot and pulling back, you start thinning it out more and more. Okay, so it's important to know roughly where you're going to be. So now I'm keeping my angle of the pole the same. If you start doing this or doing this because you're reaching way far out, it changes the contact point of those gauges. So you're going to actually put it down thinner than what you want. So keep the pole the same angle. And what I always like to do is go through and cover my areas, my edges first, and then I would come in and take my puddle and I just start sweeping it over the floor, making sure I don't leave lines, okay, just like this, and I would go through and cover my whole floor. Now, we still have a puddle here, which is good, because I'm telling you, go ahead and load up your roller. You never want to take your roller dry and start going over your floor to spread it out because you're going to soak up what's on the floor into the roller. Now that area is too thick. So you always want to charge up your roller first. You'll notice it sucks up about 9 inches to about 6 ounces. Okay. And now you want to go through and start spreading this out in 2 directions. You're going to do it quickly. On a garage floor or any floor, you want to try to use 18-inch rollers because you're going to cover up, be able to go over the floor faster. And when you do this, I always like to move the roller only half to maybe 3/4 its width. Don't try to go the full width each time because you'll leave mist marks on the floor. It's always important never throw your media at the floor. You want to throw it up and spread it out. And you always want to cover this flake up 100%. As Paul was saying, this is an aromatic polyurea. Okay? And anything that's aromatic is not UV stable, regardless if it's a urethane or a polyurea in this case. It has to be 100% coated because if it's not and it's exposed to UV, it's going to discolor and turn amber.
For his double lift quartz too. He's going to throw a second lift of quartz into it. So this is all going in.
Okay, before we give it back to be pigmented, I want to make sure we have enough on here. So I like using a stiff blade and putting it across, putting equal pressures, keeping the pole the same way. I always like to get my edges. And by putting equal pressure over the surface, I'm going to have the same finish. I get my edges of my garage that I'm in the middle, and I'll take my pole, go from one side, just like I'm washing a window, across, come across, puddle here, it'll load up and charge your roller. Go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to roll this in two directions. Here you have your spikes on. I'm going to roll north to south.
It's hard to get it in there. Like, see this roller. That worked out really good.
Yeah.
So we just larger areas. And that works great. Just eliminate that tool.
And then you have your spikes on, carefully walking without scratching the floor.
Yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
now walk back over.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not our favorite.
You do double lips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mario. You teach how to do it. You got
We can
several
do it.
guys
We
that
just like it.
Yeah. You guys use the control ever? Yeah.
All right, so by going two directions, always when you pour your next batch mix into the floor, to continue, pour it where you were, and if there's a puddle there, add it to that puddle and continue. It keeps the viscosity the same, so you won't see dark, light, or shiny, a little bit duller. It keeps the consistency over. If you pour it directly, a new batch, into the floor where you finished one and next to it you pour your it could give you the potential for having viscosity differences where it's thickening up, and pour it always where you were and into some of the material. You'll never have a problem that way. So and then roll it out north-south, and then roll it out east-west, and then get out of the area.